Hello, fellow seekers. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice podcast. My name is Elle, and I return to read some Law of One quotes and share with you my opinions and perceptions on them. So today, we are going to talk about infinite possibilities. Another way of saying that maybe is optimism or faith. And how is faith and magic related? What is optimism? What does it mean to believe in an infinite possibility, or at least to be open to it? And then we're going to also maybe talk about, creative ventures, how when you attempt to do something creative or entrepreneurial even, how that's related to that, and abundance mindset and faking it till you make it, and even like group power versus individual power and how that is related to purity. So, although I tell you a lot of things here, it's tough to say exactly how the podcast will always roll out. However, that is the rough idea of what we're going to talk about. So, if first of all, before we start, theoneinfinitecreator.com is my website where you can get links to all of this material for free. And yeah, let's begin. So, I have a quote here, which is going to be about infinite possibilities. And I know that it sounds very almost juvenile to believe in some of these infinite possibilities. It may sound naive or non-wise, but really the truer wisdom is that infinite possibility is real. And so a truer wisdom is that, to be open to that infinite possibility, but I suppose the reality of still having the understanding that there's maybe a good possibility that won't play out the way that you're maybe sort of hoping, but there's the possibility that it might. So, staying open to infinite possibilities. In session 65.12 in the raw material, they say, quote, "Although you have many, many items which cause distress and thus offer seeking and service opportunities, there is always one container in that store of peace, love, light, and joy. This vortex may be very small, but to turn one's back upon it is to forget the infinite possibilities of the present moment. Could your planet polarize towards harmony in one fine, strong moment of inspiration? Yes, my friends. It is not probable, but it is ever possible." End of quote. So they're kind of talking about how, I guess maybe I should have included that part, but it's okay. But they're talking about how, say you go into a grocery store. There's all the different possibilities of things on the shelf that you can buy. So these are your choices. And although maybe 99% of the choices in the grocery store may be garbage and filled with darkness, there is that one container in the store which is filled with love, light, peace, unity, and harmony. And it may seem naive to focus on that one box when 99% of the other ones are more likely to be picked, but you to turn your back on that box is foolish. You're a dang fool. You need to be open to the possibility that that box can be opened, and I would posit that, in fact, your ability to stay open to the infinite possibility actually helps it bring it into manifestation. It's almost like your focus on it gives it a better possibility of having a reality in this reality. So let's keep on going. I wonder if we need to talk about infinity a little bit. Infinite possibilities includes the word infinite. So what is infinity? Well, I suppose infinity, there's so many ways to explain infinity, and none of them really can include words, but I'm going to make the attempt. So I want to explain that infinity, I suppose, is almost like recognition of the spiritual realm. We live in the third density, which is the illusion of separation. It is a very convincing illusion. And another word for illusion may be materialism. You only sort of believe and know and think about the things that you can see and touch and feel with your own hands, and you know that they're there, like you can see them, so there's no contradiction in you believing that they exist, okay? So when you're sort of stepping into the realm of infinity, it's almost like you're needing to step out of what you see. You need to step out of materialism. You need to step out of the illusion and into the infinite possibilities of the present moment, in which, if you understand infinity and this present moment, it is true that really anything can happen at any time, although there is a sort of a flow of the way things are going and a harmony of the way things are going. There is still the possibility that within any time, anything could happen. Like, it is the infinite possibilities of the moment, and you need to stay open to that. So I wanted to give you a quote from session 7.12, and they talk about how Ra interacting with our planet, right? Like, there's sort of an extraterrestrial entity who is attempting to serve us, and they ask them, like, what's sort of your goal in attempting to serve us, and not even just them, a lot of entities who are attempting to serve people on Earth here right now. So in session 7.12, they answer, quote, "The mystery and unknown quality of the occurrences we are allowed to offer have the hoped-for intention of making your peoples aware of infinite possibility. When your peoples grasp infinity, then and only then can the gateway be opened to the law of one." End of quote. And I suppose maybe we should mention how infinity is very much related to the indigo chakra and above. As you balance and activate and like to minimum degree each chakra in the sort of 7 chakra system, as you open up that chakra body, you're opening up the lower sort of material body that the energy comes up from the bottom chakras up to the top, and as it opens up your energy body, once you eventually reach the indigo in the top, you're sort of reaching infinity. And what infinity does is I suppose it's like like the creative force of the creator, if you will, and the creative, like, harmonic forces. It's like the higher forces of creation. They then come down into your body and they perfect each moment by moment, because it's the infinity. Infinity can be malleable and bend to anything within the creation. Anything that is finite, that is material, infinity can bend to it, because everything finite is born from infinity. So you sort of have like this interplay between the two, and it may, when you're sort of feeling shut off from the universe and blocked off and in your lower chakras, you probably aren't feeling very optimistic and feeling open to infinite possibilities, are you? Well, you aren't, and if you aren't, well, there's a sort of a signpost for you as to where you are sort of located mentally within the chakra system. We need, you may need to do some balancing and some grounding and meditating and getting yourself back to that sort of optimistic, faithful attitude that sees the infinite possibilities in each moment. And as I mentioned faith, that goes nicely into the next quote, which I would like to read you. So when we're talking about infinite possibilities, we're talking about faith, and we're talking about magic. These are almost all synonyms for each other in a way. So I want to just read you this part here where they're asking Ra about, the connection between faith and sort of infinity, if you will. So in session 3.9, Ra says, the vibratory distortion of sound, faith, in other words, they just said like the word faith, okay, continuing on, is perhaps one of the stumbling blocks between those of what you may call the infinite path and those of the finite proving/understanding. You are precisely correct in your understanding of the congruency of faith and intelligent infinity. However, one is a spiritual term, the other more acceptable perhaps to the conceptual framework distortions of those who seek with the measure and pen. End of quote. They're so funny. They're basically just said like, hey, you know what? The word faith is a good word for spiritual people. And then the, they use like the word intelligent infinity, and they say that sounds like it's more geared towards somebody who seeks with the measure and pen. In other words, the finite type of person who wants to seek and prove things and show you the material that says, aha, see, here, I show you the truth right in front of you. And that's not nothing wrong with that, but faith and infinity and unity and the creator are all above material. I mean, the creator is everything. However, any time that you attempt to describe the creator in words, you're always going to fall short. And that's sort of the idea, is that you're trying to describe infinity using finite words. It's literally impossible. So like the closest thing that you can get to describing the creator is silence, like the silence of the creation, where you turn off from the focus of the material world and you set aside some time to interact with the infinite, because you are putting value in that sort of area of your life, enough so that you can disconnect from the material and the illusion and say, hey, you know what, this is important enough that I need to spend time with the infinite, with the silence, with the, well, sort of magic, if you will. And then I would like to talk about the difference between faith and magic, and doing it as an individual versus doing it as a group. So there's this fine thing where if you are a person, an individual person, and you're absolutely purified of all flaws, and you have I guess like a absolutely sort of perfect chakra system and opened up completely and activated, you may consider that you are powerful, and that if you are pure, then you contain the power of the One. However, there is this sort of thing where when you group together with like-minded seekers and you all sort of seek the same thing, well, then each individual person can hold more flaws. In other words, they can be less pure, but the power of their seeking together essentially can move mountains and create that faith and magic. So why do I say this? Well, it's just sort of the importance of not only, attempting to enlighten yourself, but when we attempt to share these understandings with others, I guess what we're trying to do is sort of find our group, and we want our group to come together in harmony and love, and all point the compass in the same direction. In other words, we want to have our intentions set on love and seeking and service. So in this quote in session 310, they talk about the individual power versus group efforts. So in session 310, the questioner asks, then if an individual is totally informed with respect to the law of one and lives and is the law of one, such things as the building of a pyramid by direct mental effort would be commonplace. Is that what I am to understand? Am I correct? Ra states, Ra, I am Ra. You are incorrect, in that there is a distinction between the individual power through the law of one and the combined or societal memory complex mind-body-spirit understanding of the law of one. In the first case, only for the individual, purified of all flaws, could move a mountain. In the case of mass understanding of unity, each individual may contain an acceptable amount of distortion, and yet the mass mind could move mountains. End of quote. So you can see there that, you can sort of not be absolutely perfect in your seeking, and we could still seek out these infinite possibilities, is, I suppose, knowing that if we group together with like-minded seekers, we're much more powerful. And then I guess how I'm connecting that is that the possibility of the manifestation of an infinite possibility, which I'm sort of implying that it's a positive infinite possibility. Obviously, we're not wanting to gear ourselves towards infinite possibilities of negativity. I suppose that was sort of implied in this whole podcast. But yeah, there's a better opportunity for the manifestation of magic and faith and love and unity when we group together and seek as one. Okay, so now I'm just going to go a little bit off track from actual quotes, because I myself contain a lot of random life experience and knowledge that doesn't always have a perfect law of one quote to go with it. And so what I would like to do is just riff to you about my life and what sort of these topics make me think about. So one thing with infinite possibilities is, like achieving your dreams and passion and being optimistic about that sort of thing. So obviously, if you have that faith and that optimism, then in the face of failure, you're going to be a lot more foolhardy in pushing forward and not just giving up. And maybe you can see how, outside of fancy magical things, how that is a very realistic thing that's still happening, where youth just really, if you just don't see the vision of the possibility of how this is going to work, your dream, you're going to give up a lot easier than if you were to say understand that there will be many failures along the path, but eventually, there is a possibility that that dream may sort of come true. And so the difference is between people who are pessimistic versus optimistic is, well, the pessimistic person gives up, they quit looking, maybe that opportunity actually does arise for them, but they're being too pessimistic and hiding away in their house being depressed. Instead, right, that person that sort of just pushes with optimism and fails and says, dang, that sucks. I failed, but you know what? That's okay. I'm going to learn from this. It's a challenge. I am going to regroup and move forward. And then, eventually, what is it? Opportunity meets readiness, and all of a sudden, right, the magic can happen. You are keep pushing, and then the sort of, and the way I see it too is from the less realistic materialist perspective and then to the more spiritual perspective. I still think that your power and your faith in holding on to that possibility of positivity, I suppose, really does actually help it come into being. So it's like this beautiful combo of both a realistic view of like you just got to honestly push forward, and then also having that faith which helps the manifestation of the illusion, come into being. So we're gonna get all fancy on you now, my friends. We have you ever heard about the pareto distribution? If you've ever listened to that guy, Jordan Peterson, he likes to talk about this a lot, and it took me a bit to get my head around it. But this is really very much connected to infinite possibilities and what I was just talking about, staying optimistic. So the Pareto distribution is a distribution in nature. It's almost like a harmonic nature resonance thing that just sort of happens. It's almost like a pattern that you can see in nature, as a way to describe what I'm telling you. And what it is that it's almost like a quote from the Bible, which says, to those who have everything, everything will be given, and to those who will have nothing, everything will be taken away. Like, what the heck does that mean? Well, it sort of is that, once you're living in that sort of abundance, it's so much easier to have the faith and the focus that that abundance and that type of reality is going to keep on for you. Versus when you sort of have nothing, then it's so much easier to focus on the lack, the lack of material, and not having that faith that you have everything taken away from you. And usually what happens is you sort of hit rock bottom, and then you realize, oh well, this is as low as I can go, and you pop on out of there. So really, either way you go, it should hopefully work out for the positive. But I guess what I get from this Pareto distribution is this knowledge that 99% of creative ventures will fail. That means that 99% of the time, or like if you try something almost 100 times, 99 of them will fail. However, one of them that is successful is wildly successful. That's generally just how like companies work, ambition, just like almost anything in your life. So 99% failure, 1% success. And if you're aware of that reality, then when you fail 90% of the time, you don't need to take that as a sign that you're a dummy and you're screwing up. I mean, to what degree you may be. I do want you to sort of obviously be open to change and the possibility of being malleable in your thought, but you would like to have your focus on that 1% and not the 90% failure, because you understand that the 90% failure is just part of getting to that eventual 1%. And I can even give you a direct thing from my life. So I enjoy skateboarding. How old am I? I'm 33 years old, and I've been skateboarding since I've probably been like 12 or 14. So you could imagine that I've gotten quite good at it. Now, what I like to tell people when they see me jumping through the air and sort of rarely falling and having a good time, is I like to tell them that, look, although I may be doing very good right now, I'm sort of like the 1% who has kept on keeping on and developing this skill. What really you need to know, my new skateboard friend who's just trying this for the first time, is you don't learn how to skateboard. You actually just learn how to fall. So much of skateboarding, and like you can just extrapolate this to anything in your life pretty much. So much of skateboarding is learning how to fall. You need to learn how to fall because most of your time skateboarding is going to be falling as you're learning. And if you don't know how to fall and you're not okay with falling, you feel like a doofus for falling, and even then maybe hurt yourself or you're not very good at falling, then you're going to give up. Like, right? Like how it works is that if you understand that you're going to fall a lot, then you will keep trying. But if you fall once and then you go, see, I knew it. I knew that this would happen. This is why I don't do this. Like, all bad things happen to me. Well, no, bad things happen to everyone. And what happens is you fall and you get back up, and you fall and you get back up, and you fall and you get back up. And this is why, in my opinion, skateboarding is such a great sport and an activity for young kids to do, because it really pulls them sort of out of this victim mentality that a lot of them are trained to live under these days, because everything is within their hands. There's no sort of team in skateboarding. You're just there by yourself doing your own thing, and you are going to fail. And so as you fail over and over and over again, what you do is eventually you land that trick. You tried 99 times and you landed it once. Now, are you going to remember the 99 times that you fell? Well, sure, you'll be a little bit sore, but the only focus that you're going to be on for the rest of the day after that is that one trick that you landed and that you tried so hard for to accomplish. And, there's also that part about getting to, an infinite possibility, which is implying that it's a sort of a good, positive thing, right? Well, what if that was given to you super easy? Well, that would kind of be lame in a way, wouldn't it? Like, you just get everything you want all the time. You wouldn't have you wouldn't be a lot of your intention put into things. So maybe you can also understand that it's good to work for things. It's more valuable when you get them. You're more grateful for whatever it is that you've achieved once you've made it there, and you can really respect it for the hard work that had to be put into it in order to sort of get something good, as most things in life are, is we have to sacrifice generally in order to squeeze the good things out of life. So I guess I kind of want to wrap that into abundance mindset, right? Like I've grown up with a fairly shallow abundance mindset. There was a lot of within my family, sort of just like fighting over money and things like that, which sort of has led me to have a distaste towards putting valuable relationship stuff ahead of money. So anyways, I didn't have the best relationship with abundance mindset and sort of feeling that, you should have like a base standard that you expect of yourself. Okay. So as I've now grown up a little bit, I've had some more time to play with that abundance mindset, and that generally is it tends to focus around thy will be done. The creator will give us the bread that we need for today. Abundance mindset can take many forms for many people. For me, it seemed to be in the realm of freely give, freely receive. My abundance mindset is look, the creator is real and the creator will provide. And maybe even if they don't provide and I die, well, that was my path. That to me is the faith of what I'm here to do then. Okay. There are no mistakes. There are only surprises. So no matter what I do, the creator will provide, I hope. And as I've sort of faked this until I've made it, this philosophy, the way that it sort of played out in my realm is, well, I don't have to give you metaphors. Like somebody explained it the other day, like a sieve, you know, like where you drain the water from the noodles or whatever, a sieve. Okay, so you have a sieve, and this is your life. You can't hold on to anything, okay? You try to fill that sieve up with water, it is just going to fall through. So as you attempt to hold on to things, you're kind of saying, like, hey, you know, I don't believe that I'm going to be refilled constantly. But I believe that we will be refilled constantly. And we can even talk about this in terms of flow. It's like you're going to be restricting flow if you are not sort of letting things go. And so what I mean, freely give, freely receive. Well, I like to think that as things come to me, and then as service opportunities present themselves in my life, if I have the opportunity to serve that person, and it requires, you know, certain thing of money or whatever, or time, or it doesn't really matter what it is, but I like to try to gear myself towards just freely giving that away. Do I give it away in the expectation of return from the other self? No, I try my best not to. What I try to do is to say, hey, you know, I don't know, one day maybe I'll be in need and somebody will be there to rescue me, but right now I am in a place of seeming abundance and I am happy to, you know, serve where I see I need to serve. And if I keep attempting to serve in the way that I sort of see fit, well, I sort of hope that the creator will provide that path, you know, to open to me so that I can keep serving, because I believe that there's sort of that faith and magic behind me which sort of helps me. It's like that unseen hand. And this is what I mean is you sort of have to fake it till you make it sometimes, because why? Well, your faith isn't something that you can just turn on like that, right? It takes time for you to build faith in these ideas and these philosophies and understanding, you know, and trusting the creator. And so how do you do that? Well, you have little ventures into faith. You attempt and you try them out and you see, and then you'll notice that, oh my gosh, this works. Like crazy. That was weird, you know, that totally just happened. That synchronicity just happened, and that seemed like a infinite possibility that just manifested in front of me. So here, this is reminding me, I just had a sort of infinite possibility the other night. I was thinking to myself, right, like that sort of minimum standard of living, and I don't want to sort of feel like I'm being restricted in doing things, and you know, I am sometimes a bit of a homebody. I don't like to go out too much, like for, let's say, like a restaurant or something, right? Got bills to pay and other things which seem more important. But anyways, my wonderful girlfriend the other day, you know, she's like, hey, you know, let's go out for dinner. You know, I'll pay half or whatever. And I guess I should explain, like I have a job and she has a part-time job right now. So I'm generally just sort of spending more money, which is totally fine. It's just the sort of way things are going right now, which is all good. So, you know, I really appreciated that she's like, hey, you know, like let's go out, and like I definitely, like, you know, I want to help pay, and you know, I could think to myself, like, you know, don't have a ton of money, I kind of have to pay off a little bit of debt right now, and you know, and you know, we should be responsible. And I'm not saying that this isn't something that you should do. I'm not saying you just like go off and be wild all the time. I'm just trying to say that I just want to tell you this story here about my thought process and then what happened. So I thought to myself, you know, this, like I said, I like to put the relationship stuff, the harmony above the money thing. So I was like, hey babe, you know, absolutely, like let's go out. It's a beautiful day, right? We haven't been out in like 3 months or something. Like let's go do that. That'll be a good time. And you know what? I was like, you know, I really appreciate you like offering the money thing, but you know, like it's all good, right? Like you know, like I have a bit more money than you right now, and like let's do this. I'm super happy. Like don't even worry about money. I'm trying to sort of train her to see this abundance mindset. Okay, like just don't even worry about it. You know, we're just gonna go have a good time, and that's what this is about. This is about love, right? So we go and we have dinner, and it's great. And like even when we were ordering things, like she's trying to be like nice and like, oh well, maybe should I not order this? I'm like, no, like please just get like a normal thing, like get a beverage and the food, and like you don't need to like pick the cheaper option. Like we're here to live, we're living life. Now, so some of you people that go out sometimes are probably like, wow, really? Okay, but anyways, it's fine. Okay, so make my story short. We end dinner and we're walking away from the place, and what do you know? Like literally within like 20 seconds of walking away, and I'm not, I'm also not thinking negatively about the money. I'm just thinking about the positivity that we sort of milked out of this moment. And as I'm walking, I look down and there's a crisp $100 bill sitting right in front of me. Nobody around, nobody looking for it. Obviously, I picked it up and I was like, look, this is what I was trying to tell you about. Like, as we really put our faith and our positivity into this energy, whether this is a coincidence or not, the universe will provide and, sometimes even reward, if you will, or give you a signal that is the appropriate attitude to have. And that's sort of how I viewed that as is. It was like, hey, you know what? You went into this with the right attitude and here's your reward. And, I didn't really want to share this, but I want to be vulnerable with you. And I don't like to give for the sake of telling people about it. But I do think that there's value in just sharing things so that, I don't know, you can just maybe inspire you or something, right? So I got the $100, and I thought to myself, like, here's my hoarding mentality even, or my non-abundance mindset even coming into play at this moment when I pick up the $100 bill. And I think, hey, like I found this. And I was like, isn't that amazing, sweetheart? Like, this is great, right? Like, just paid for dinner and like here we go. And I put it in my wallet and I didn't even quite think about it until like maybe 10 minutes later, and we were on our way home, and I was like, oh, you know what, like this has happened to me before where I found money and I just gave it to my friend. Like he was just seemed to need it more than me, so I gave him money. Or we found 10, sorry, I guess I'll tell you two stories. This one time, me and my friend were out, and we were walking home, and we found $10 on the ground, and we both saw it at the exact same time, and I said, hey, you want to know what? Just, you can have it. Like, don't worry about it. This is awesome, right? Like, I think he even paid for, like, my little, like for my lunch that day or something. So it was like perfect. I was like, oh, hey, like definitely take that $10, right? And then like literally 10 minutes later, we're walking and I find another $20 bill just sitting on the side of the road. It's sort of like, this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. As things come to you, right? Just like freely give them away when you see the opportunity to serve, and more things will come your way. You increase the flow by letting the flow outgo, and then you create more room for the incoming flow. So sorry, to connect my other story back up, right? I didn't have any money in my wallet. I just had like a $50 bill in there, so I gave $50 to my wonderful lady because I wanted to share her in that, right? Like thinking, me and her walking right beside each other, and I see the $100 bill and snatch it up in front of her, and she's probably thinking to herself, man, if I only saw that like 3 seconds earlier or 1 second earlier, like the tables would have turned, wouldn't they? And so yeah, I was sort of reflecting on that, and I was like, wait, this is silly. Like, let's share in this great awesome find. Like, let's share this. So I took, I had $100 from the one I found on the ground, and I happened to have a 50 in my wallet. So I gave the 50 to my girlfriend because, then I don't know, it was just better. Like, we could just both celebrate, and it was like we both found it, and we were both being abundant, and I'm sharing. And anyways, like I said, I didn't share that just to get brownie points or whatever, but I just want to share it just like because I know that, when I see those videos online of people videotaping themselves giving things to homeless people, as lame as that is, it does inspire me to do the same thing. So I kind of balance that sometimes by keeping some services secret and, sharing some of them to to you guys and other people. So I think that is probably good enough for today. I hope I gave you some good things to muse on in terms of infinite possibilities and just keeping optimistic and just staying open to the infinite possibilities of the moment. It's like the life is so much funner and magical when you do that. And like I said, as you do that, you also increase the possibility of the manifestation of that infinite possibility. And my friends, I can tell you, when you start to see these, they usually would be described in your life as synchronicities. When you start to see these synchronicities and these patterns and the universe sort of speaking back to you to reinforce these positive attitudes, you'll know what I'm saying. I don't need to prove anything to you. You just need to sort of fake it till you make it. It's okay that your faith is a little bit on low right now, right? Like it takes time, like many, many, many years to build up your faith. So don't worry if you don't have perfect faith, perfect purity, and are unflawed. It's okay. We are all imperfectly perfect. I myself am nothing near perfection, work in progress, and I believe you are too. And I wish that, all the infinite positive possibilities in your life manifest as best as they can. And I hope that you just sort of keep an eye open for them so that when they sort of pop up into your realm, you can say, aha, I'm ready for that. Let's do it. So my friends, if you appreciated listening to this today, I would appreciate it if you give it a like, share, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see future podcasts. I do plan on doing this once a week indefinitely, and I can definitely keep on that indefinite flow of creating these podcasts. If you would, if you find value in this, if you could maybe jump on my Patreon. If you go to theoneinfinitecreator.com, scroll down to the support section, I have a Patreon section. That really helps me to create this abundance mindset where I can have my passion go along with the money, right? Like I work a corporate job, which I don't totally want to do. I would rather inspire people all day in many different ways on online, wherever, and just in spiritual matters and communication of spiritual philosophy, because I feel that that's where my gifts are, in communication and sort of describing abstract concepts. So, for all of you that find value and are supporting me, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You having my back means more than you may know. Thank you so much. And thank you to the LL Research for providing us all the material here for free. And thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you. Take care. I have to add this at the end real quick. I just realized that this is the 88th podcast, and it is a podcast on infinite possibilities. And remember, I was talking about synchronicities? Yeah, well, the 8, if you turn it sideways, is the infinity symbol. And, I also have a podcast about some gematria, so it kind of means a lot to me when the numbers show up. But yeah, podcast 88 for infinite possibilities. Take care, everyone. Oh my God. And when I was just recording this, it was 11:11.